Thank you for your remarks, Dr. Moeed Yusuf, National Security Advisor, Pakistan. I now welcome the Honorable Chief of Army Staff, Pakistan, to please kindly present his inaugural address. This will also be followed by an interactive Q&A session moderated by Senior Policy Specialist, Mr. Syed Hassan Akbar from the National Security Division. Thank you. Chatham House rules, please, for the interactive session. Thank you.
Can you hear me in the back? Am I audible? Please allow me to speak from here because that rostrum is too small for me. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dr. Moeed Yusuf, esteemed panelists, speakers, international guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It's my profound pleasure to speak to you once again at Islamabad Security Dialogue. I'm extremely pleased to note that this forum, organized by National Security Division for the first time in 2021, has already made its mark as one of the region's prominent security dialogue, and I would like to compliment Dr. Moeed and his team for this achievement. I believe today more than ever, we need to inculcate and promote such spaces for intellectual debate and discourse where people from around the world come together to share ideas about the future of their countries and the world at large, where some of the brightest minds can identify means of global cooperation rather than confrontation. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you today as the world is witnessing an unprecedented return to global power contestation. The resurgence of interstate conflict amidst shared global challenges of poverty, climate change, terrorism, cyber intrusion, and scarcity of resources poses profound questions for international system. The international community's collective security rests in our ability to integrate our shared goals of global prosperity through an equitable international system, resisting the pressures of great power contestation. Pakistan, as a country located at the crossroads of economic and strategic confluence, is navigating these shared challenges in our immediate region and through our partnership in the international community. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan's first ever national security policy places the safety, security, dignity, and prosperity of its citizens at the heart of our security policy. It recognizes the symbiotic relationship between economic, human, traditional security, placing economic security at the core, with the ultimate aim of achieving prosperity for our citizens, with focus on ensuring domestic economic stability and growth, augmented through development partnership with the international community under our geo-economic strategy. Achieving this requires peace at home and abroad. Internally, Pakistan law enforcing agencies and the military have given innumerable sacrifices to defeat the menace of terrorism. Since 2001, Pakistan has suffered over 90,000 casualties and more than 150 billion in economic losses. Our commitment to defeating terrorism remains unwavering. Through the selfless dedication and sacrifices of our armed forces, civil law enforcing agencies, and support of our nation, we have made remarkable gains against terrorism. This has resulted in a marked improvement in the internal security situation of Pakistan. However, the threat of terrorism and violent extremism remains and the struggle continues till we eliminate the last terrorist and cause of terrorism from our region. We are committed to preserving our gains against terrorism, and we are working with the interim Afghan government and other neighbors to ensure that terrorist organizations are no longer allowed to use territory of one country against another one. A peaceful and prosperous West and South Asia is our goal. Pakistan national security policy places a premium on promoting national cohesion and harmony through the precepts of unity in diversity. Our focus remains on eliminating intolerance and extremism by celebrating the diversity of our country and ensuring the right of state to preserve the fundamental rights guaranteed under the constitutions, irrespective of caste belief. I fully realize that it is a huge challenge, but we are committed and we will not relent till we make Pakistan a moderate and forward-looking country as envisioned by our founding father, Qazi Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Pakistan also recognizes that it is the regions, not the countries, that grow. That is why we believe that peace and stability in our wider regions are prerequisites for achieving shared regional prosperity and development. In this regard, our doors are open for all our neighbors. Ladies and gentlemen, for decades, conflict in our immediate west has created negative externalities and spillover effect that have adversely impacted our economy, society, and security. This is why Pakistan continues to work closely with the international community to pursue peace and stability in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, lack of financial flows and continued sanctions are creating a humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. Pakistan has worked tirelessly to provide humanitarian aid to the people of Afghanistan in collaboration with the international community, but much more is needed. It is our collective responsibility towards the people of Afghanistan to ensure that timely and adequate humanitarian aid flows into the country. While the world, especially the West, are preoccupied by the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Ukraine, we must ensure that 40 million Afghans who face terrible conditions are not forgotten. The consequences of our inability to address the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan will not only lead to refugee crisis, but will again make Afghanistan an epicenter of terrorism where Daesh, with its global agenda, flourishes, which may result in more than one 9/11. Therefore, good or bad, it is important for the international community to keep Afghan government's nose above the water. The performance of present Afghan government is not satisfactory, to say the least, but we have to be patient and accommodative. Instead of imposing sanctions which have never worked, we must incentivize Afghan for their positive behavioral change. While Pakistan shares some of the concerns of the international community, we believe that disengagement with Afghanistan is not an option. We urge the international community to share their concern directly with the Afghan interim government and continue their engagement to ensure uninterrupted flow of humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan. Pakistan already hosts nearly 4 million registered and unregistered Afghan refugees. We continue to host our Afghan brothers and sisters, but would like to work with the international community to create stable environment necessary for their time-bound and dignified return to Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, toward the east, situation along the line of control is satisfactory and fairly peaceful. Mercifully, we have not seen any major incident along the line of control since last 1 year, which has brought great relief to the people living along both sides of the line of control. However, the recent incident involving Indian launching a supersonic cruise missile into Pakistan on 9th March 2022 is of serious concern. Unlike other incidents involving strategic weapons system, this is the first time in history that a supersonic cruise missile from one nuclear-armed nation has landed in another. This raises serious concerns about India's ability to manage and operate high-end weapon systems, and equally concerning is India's indifferent attitude in not informing Pakistan immediately about an inadvertent launch of the missile. We hope the international community will realize that this incident could have resulted in loss of life in Pakistan or an accidental shooting down of a passenger plane that were flying along the path of the cruise missile. Pakistan has called for a thorough probe into the incident, and we expect India to provide evidence to ensure Pakistan and the world that their weapons are safe and secure. On our part, like early 2019, when Pakistan demonstrated its role as a responsible member of international community by returning the captured pilot of an intruding Indian fighter aircraft, we have once again demonstrated maturity and responsibility in our response. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan continues to believe in using dialogue and diplomacy to resolve all outstanding issues, including the Kashmir dispute, and is ready to move forward on this front if India also agrees to do so. With 1/3 of the world engulfed in some sort of a conflict or war, it is important that we keep the flames of fire away from our region. In this regard, besides Kashmir dispute, the Indo-China border dispute is also a matter of great concern for us, and we want it to be settled quickly through dialogue and diplomacy. I believe it is time for political leadership of the region to rise above their emotional and perceptual biases and break the shackles of history to bring peace and prosperity to almost 3 billion people of the region. Ladies and gentlemen, with growing concern about major power contestation, Pakistan is positioning itself as a melting pot for a positive global economic interest through our focus on connectivity and development friendship. Pakistan does not believe in camp politics, and our bilateral relationship with our partners are not at the expense of our relationship with other countries. Pakistan enjoys a close strategic relationship with China, demonstrated by our commitment towards Pakistan-China Economic Corridor or CPEC. Equally, we share a long history of excellent and strategic relationship with the United States, which remains our largest export market. We seek to broaden and expand our ties with both countries without impacting our relations with the other. Similarly, European Union, United Kingdom, Gulf, Southeast Asia, and Japan are also vital for our national development and progress. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan is deeply concerned about the conflict in Ukraine. With Ukraine, we enjoy excellent defense and economic relationships since its independence. With Russia, we had cold relations for a long time due to numerous reasons. However, recently there have been some positive development in this regard. Sadly, the Russian invasion against Ukraine is very unfortunate, as thousands of people have been killed, millions made refugees, and half of Ukraine destroyed. This is a huge tragedy which must be stopped immediately. Furthermore, despite legitimate security concerns of Russia, its aggression against a smaller country cannot be condoned. Pakistan has consistently called for an immediate ceasefire and cessation of hostilities. We support immediate dialogue between all sides to find a lasting solution to the conflict. Pakistan has also dispatched humanitarian assistance to Ukraine through special flights of Pakistan Air Force and will continue to do so. The continuation or expansion of conflict in Ukraine will not serve the interest of any side, least of all the developing countries, which will continue to face socio-economic costs of the conflict, a conflict which can easily get out of hand. Ladies and gentlemen, clearly there are visible camps at the time among global polity, those which advocate contestation and those advocate cooperation. The future vision of global security will ultimately be shaped and decided by the fact that which camp prevails. I believe the world today, at this civilizational and scientific pinnacle, is built by those who visualized and believed in cooperation, respect, and equality instead of divisions, warmongering, and dominance. Pakistan today has a unique position where it has very cordial historic relation with both the camps. Our interests are best served only if cooperation between various power centers is promoted instead of contestation, and so is the case with other developing countries. I beg your pardon. It is therefore necessary for the world leadership to support the island of cooperation such as Pakistan instead of promoting those who wish to gain from this contest. Finally, one quick and important lesson as a military man that emerges from Russia-Ukraine conflict, which must be highlighted over here, and that is that it is the preeminence or dominance of firepower over mobility, as was the case during First War. This has given a heart to smaller country that they can still defend their territory with smaller but agile forces against an aggression by a bigger country by carrying out selective modernization in equipment and adopting novel ideas. And this is the course we intend following for our future developmental strategy. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now be having a question and answer session with some housekeeping rules. Control room, can you please?
آرمی چیف جنرل قمر جاوید باجوہ خطاب کر رہے تھے سیکورٹی ڈائلاگ اجلاس سے. اس موقع پر آرمی چیف کا یہ کہنا تھا کہ پاکستان کیمپ پالیٹکس پر یقین نہیں رکھتا, پاکستان سب کے ساتھ مل کر کام کرنا چاہتا ہے, جبکہ پرامن جنگ بندی سے سرحدوں پر امن ہوا ہے اور LOC پر فی الحال صورتحال قابل اطمینان ہے. جبکہ اس موقع پر انہوں نے یہ کہا کہ بھارت دنیا اور پاکستان کو بتائے کہ اس کے ہتھیار محفوظ ہیں. پاکستان نے عالمی قوانین کی پاسداری کرتے ہوئے بھارتی پائلٹ کو واپس کیا, لیکن بھارت کی جانب سے سپر سونک میزائل پاکستان میں آیا جس پر پاکستان کو شدید تشویش ہے. بھارت نے پاکستان کو میزائل سے متعلق آگاہ پہلے سے نہیں کیا تھا. میزائل کے باعث کسی کا بھی جانی نقصان ہو سکتا تھا. اس موقع پر آرمی چیف نے یہ بھی کہا کہ یوکرین کی جنگ کے آگے مغرب افغانستان کے عوام کو نہ بھولے, عالمی برادری کو افغانستان کو دوبارہ دہشت گردی کا مرکز بننے سے روکنا ہوگا.
مزید انہوں نے کہا کہ دہشت گردی کے خلاف جنگ میں پاکستان نے 90,000 جانیں قربان کی. مقاصد کے حصول کے لیے ملک اور باہر امن اہم ہے. انہوں نے کہا کہ آخری دہشت گرد کے خاتمے تک جدوجہد جاری رہے گی. افغانستان میں امن و استحکام کے لیے پاکستان عالمی برادری کے ساتھ پرعزم ہے. ساتھ ہی ساتھ انہوں نے یوکرین رشیا جنگ کی بات کرتے ہوئے کہا کہ یوکرین کی جنگ کے آگے مغرب افغانستان کے عوام کو نہ بھولے, عالمی برادری کو افغانستان کو دوبارہ دہشت گردی کا مرکز بننے سے روکنا ہوگا. پاکستان نے افغانستان سے متعلق عالمی برادری سے تحفظات کا اظہار کیا ہے. افغانستان سے متعلق رابطوں کو منقطع نہیں کرنا چاہیے. بھارت کی جانب سے سپر سونک میزائل کے پاکستان آنے پر شدید تشویش ہے.
مزید خبریں ایک بریک کے بعد.